I guess I should address the elephant in the room. This is a VS Racing 85mm turbo. It's 85mm inlet. It's gigantic. This is the biggest turbo I've ever had on my own vehicle. Reason I chose this, I have a 6-liter, and at some point I am going to build an engine even bigger than a 6-liter. Probably a 6.6 using the new L8T crankshaft, which is like a 408 or something like that. So the exhaust system on the car is a little bit strange. On the driver's side, I had to do a bunch of pie cuts on the rear cylinder because I have a steering rack, and the only way to clear it was to go up and come back around, and it's a little weird. I opted to put the exhaust on the outside of the frame rail to go into the turbo. 2 reasons: it leaves me a little bit more room in the engine bay, which looked really huge before but now is pretty small. So the reason that this is a good setup, it is 2.5 inch Schedule 10 stainless steel pipe with some 90 degrees and 45s and a couple of pie cuts. It's all MIG welded. I don't really like to TIG weld. I am not very good at it. It's very time consuming, and I try to get as much done as I can in the short amount of time I have to work on this. All MIG welded, which is strong. I do bevel the edges of the pipe, and I do 2 passes, so I have a root pass and then I sand that down or grind that down, and then I do a top pass, which is about 3 times as wide as the root pass. It is structural. It's very strong. This turbo weighs about 55 pounds. So it's heavy. I didn't trust even 14 gauge exhaust. Plus, Schedule 10 holds a lot more heat in, so I won't have to heat up the pipe immediately before running it. So for a daily driver, it should be more responsive because it'll hold more heat in. Some of it is going to get heat wrapped in critical areas, like right here by the air conditioner compressor and over here by the alternator. I will probably heat wrap it and put a shield on the alternator. The idea behind this weird thing here is I wanted to have a true 4-inch inlet and dual 2.5 inch primaries, and that was difficult because nobody makes a 2.5 to 4-inch merge collector that is cast or billet or machined, that is. So rather than go with one that was made out of pipe and have heavy, light, heavy, I just made it all heavy. I am going to run a full exhaust on the car. This is not really the exhaust that is going to be used, but I put it on there just to make sure my clearances are good. I'm going to mount a wastegate right here, and the wastegate will dump back into the exhaust. I don't really care for wastegate noise. I needed all this clearance like this for it to work. I am going to run a liquid-to-air intercooler box right up here in the front. I may have to modify the bumper beam to get it to fit, but it's going to go straight into the liquid-to-air, and the liquid-to-air will hang on the turbo. So the turbo is going to hold a massive amount of weight, and then the pipe out will go directly into the engine. I am going to run an intake on the car, so somewhere in the front of the car I will build a box that holds a filter. I know that's not how people do it, but having an air filter before a turbo is good. I do not need 1,000 horsepower every second of the day, so if I run an air filter and I lose a bunch of power on the street, that's fine. This is going to be a real car. It has air conditioning. Since I have an air conditioner compressor and a liquid-to-air intercooler, I am going to do the inner chiller style or the super chiller style to use the AC to supercool the liquid in the liquid-to-air system. Everything is going to fit under the front end. I'm not going to put anything in the trunk except the battery. There will be an air conditioner system in the dash. The heater, though, will not be in the dash. The heater is going to be built in underneath the floor. Basically, the floorboard of the back seat will have 2 little boxes in it, and each one will have a small heater core and a blower fan. and I can stage them to where I run one for low heat and both of them for high heat. This car is not going to be a good winter driver, even though it does have all-wheel drive. It's only going to have one windshield wiper on it on the driver's side. Where the passenger side wiper mounts, I had to delete it because I needed the clearance for the intake manifold. I had anticipated being able to run a high header on the passenger side and run the 5-inch exhaust under the header. That doesn't really work, so I have more of a straight log style manifold header, and I'm going to clearance more of the firewall and put the 5-inch exhaust out. I already built the transmission tunnel and the floor of the car to accommodate the 5-inch pipe. So today I'm going to take the dash out, cut more of the firewall, and work on fitting the 5-inch out. 5-inch is a little bit bigger than I probably need, but with 90-degree bends in 2 places and some mufflers in the back of the car, 5-inch should still flow what I need to make 1,000 to the wheel. Time for a time lapse.